Welcome everyone to the trailer breakdown of The Mandalorian, the new Star Wars live-action TV show debuting on Disney Plus this November. So let's get right into it. First up, we have a couple of cool shots of stormtrooper helmets in the sand and on spikes. The buildings behind them look very similar to those that are on Tatooine, so I assume we might be returning to that desert planet. Could always be a different desert planet though. Then we get a really nice shot of the titular character's ship, the Razor Crest, flying over a forest world, obviously on the hunt for another target. Before we move on to probably the world from the first couple of images, again a desert planet where the Razor Crest and another really cool looking ship that kind of looks like a U-wing has been parked in the foreground. Then we get a shot of Carl Weathers' character, Greef Karga, who is kind of an old bounty hunter type who was also the head of the Bounty Hunters Guild at some point before the show began. I imagine he's probably going to be some like old mentor type to the show, but he could always betray the Mandalorian, and something tells me he might. Next, we get a shot of Gina Carano as Cara Dune, another bounty hunter who will either be partnering with the Mandalorian or competing with him for targets. Next, we don't know much about this character, but thanks to the recent pop vinyl leaks that came from D23, we know his name is either Quill or Kill, and it's theorized Nick Nolte will be playing this character. Again, he looks kind of like an enemy or a rival bounty hunter to the Mandalorian, since in the shot we see of him, he seems to have shot the hunter's alien creature ride and is confronting him here, again in that desert planet. Finally, we see some live action Twi'leks that don't seem to be background characters and are actually fleshed out characters. I'm interested to learn who this character is, since she seems to be headed for the Razor Crest. So is she part of the Mandalorian's gang? Is she a rival gang trying to steal his ship? Really intrigued, especially with the guy in front of her, who is also interesting since this scene was actually shown in Star Wars Celebration as a longer scene of it, and that guy is apparently comedian Bill Burr, which is quite surprising. I didn't think he would do a role like this, but here we are. Next, we have a mother and child, presumably on the forest world, and again, nothing is known about these characters, and these could just be a shot used in the trailer, but they appear briefly later in the trailer at the desert planet, so maybe they are targets for the hunters who have gone on the run, or maybe the Mandalorian has to protect them against these other hunters. Next, we get an awesome shot of the Death Troopers, first seen in Rogue One, and it's really cool we get to see more of these guys because I think they're really cool. We get to see a cool Western standoff between the Mandalorian and some other character, so I'm looking forward to all the Western vibes this show already has and probably will have more of. Giancarlo Esposito's character is up next, and he appears to be an Imperial officer of some type, probably part of the Imperial remnant that is running around, since this show is set after Return of the Jedi, so there's fragmented parts of the Imperial war machine just laying around on planets, so I'm intrigued to see what his role in this show is. We get a cool shot of a guy on a swoop bike pursuing someone, then a really awesome shot of an AT-ST walker, which again thanks to D23 Lego leaks is called an AT-ST Raider and isn't actually owned by the Imperials, and it's somehow pursuing the Mandalorian and Cara Dune. You get a really cool shot here of the Mandalorian and IG-11, his partner apparently. A space shot of the Razor Crest being pursued by a ship that really looks a lot like the Mandalorian ships we see in the Clone Wars animated TV series. So I'm intrigued to see whether maybe the Mandalorians are coming after our titular character. Maybe he's not a Mandalorian and he's just using their armor thanks to the respect it gives him. The Mandalorian is then rocking a huge cannon while IG-11 spins wildly around and kills a bunch of stormtroopers, again on this desert world. So I think we're probably going to be spending a lot of time on this desert world, or at least the first couple of episodes. We then see the Mandalorian now wearing some upgraded red armor, surrounded by troopers while wielding his Amban Phase Pulse Blaster, which people might or might not, depending on how sane they are, remember that this was what Boba Fett used in his first appearance in the Star Wars Holiday Special. Next, we get my favorite shot of the trailer, where the Mandalorian comes to a cantina and beats up a bunch of people and his target flees, so he fires his wrist cable gun at him and traps the man in the cantina door where he's cut in half. Really cool death, and I'm looking forward to scenes like that in this show with him just capturing targets. As the trailer winds down, we get a cool shot of all his targets sealed in carbonite and stacked in the Razor Crest before a final shot of Werner Herzog, who's playing a kind of Imperial Grand Moff type by the looks of things. He's got like an Imperial sigil tied around his neck, so I'm intrigued to see what he's playing, maybe some like corrupt official or something. This first trailer was pretty low on huge reveals hidden in the details like most trailers are, but it was a great trailer nonetheless. It sold the tone and atmosphere of the show and has me excited for it, and I cannot wait to see the first episode in a few months' time. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this breakdown.